Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. Before we get started, that line never gets old. Well, I'm gonna be kind of harsh in this review. Be a little negative towards some characters, and if this isn't, your thing, or your thing as far as me being negative towards certain characters are going in, you might want to just kind of stop right now. Because if you've been watching my reviews for a while, I do not pull punches. So, I would totally understand if you went to that other guy's, Andre, I think that's his channel, watch his review for the week. Because I'm about to go in. But I want to thank you. And for everyone else that stayed, well, let's get started. Here's the thing. My opinion of Theo, I thought it couldn't get lower. I really didn't. I get that Theo and Ciara are childhood friends and they're buddy and they're best friends and everything like that. But, I still agree with my statement before about how he should just slow his damn roll a little bit. Just take a step back. A little bit too cozy, bro. Throwing it out there. But after he finished talking to Ciara and he goes to go get ice cream, he runs in the bin. And they get to talking. And at one point, Theo's like, I don't think that she really loves you anymore. I don't know if she really could, like how she sees you now. And, Ben is like, so did you put in a good word? Did you really try or anything like that? Did you try to convince her or anything like that? And Theo's like, no. I'm like, wow. Okay. Like, didn't Ciara know, didn't you know that Ciara loved Ben? I'm pretty sure she talked to you about it. And, there's a time where Ciara visited him in Africa. And, Theo's like, yeah, I get what she says, but seeing in person is different, and I don't really know you, and yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, bro, part of me understands that he wants to be impartial, he just wants to support Ciara, and I kind of swear her one way or the other. So part of me is like, alright, I get where you're coming from, I really do, but for some odd reason, just in the back of my head, I'm just like, man, that's kind of a dick move. I don't know why I feel that way. Maybe it's just the way that Ben took it, and I just kind of just agree with him, like, you didn't even try, you were just like, nah, I'm good. Like, something about that just kind of irked me. I don't know exactly what it is, but it just kind of irked me, and that's just my opinion. So, Theo runs into Chanel. We all know how I feel about Chanel. That she is a whiny crybaby and a spoiled brat. My God, I cannot stand that character. After she finished whining to her mother about getting a job and spending too much money and this, that, and the third, and just honestly, to tell you the truth, I was like, I can't find my violin anywhere. So I guess you're just gonna have to do this with no music. Shoot for the stars, sweetheart. And she just continues to go on and on and on, and woe is me. And then she walks off. Now, she did sit there and say an offhand comment about how the nannies took care of her and not really, Paulina or Paulette, whatever her name is. And part of me wanted to feel for her. I really did. I dug deep inside myself and was like, I get it. You probably felt abandoned when you were younger and you have mommy issues or whatever. I don't know. But this woman seemed like she busted her ass to sit there and give you a good life. And the only thing you could sit there and do in your grateful, entitled mouth is come out as whine and complain. Then she walks off. She walks off and she runs into Theo. Theo actually went out with this chick. Um, wow. Just, wow. I mean, could you just not have your standards any lower? And that's when I was like, I thought my opinion of Theo was low before, but wow. You you just managed to lower the bar. Good job. So she's all like, I want to spend some time with you, and I missed you, this, that, and the third. And I'm pretty sure Theo was like, you broke out with me. And she was all like, oh, you look good and stuff like that. Take me out to dinner. Take you out to dinner. Wow. Um, so Theo was like, well, I can't do that because I'm seeing my friend Sierra. She's in the hospital. And, you know, little brat was like, oh, did she get her tonsils removed? Like, very offhanded. Like you should be spending time with me, not with her. Um, and so, he's like, no, she's been in an explosion, and, I just want to go and see her. And the ice cream's melting, so I'm going to go. So he leaves, and Chanel goes back into the room, all mopey and everything, and, Paulina's like, oh, try to cheer up or whatever. Like, we got some leftover food because she spent a bunch of her mom's money on just extravagant food. And, since there was a lot there, and, her mom was obviously feeling guilty and everything about her bratty ass child, she's like, hey, there's still some leftover crabs or whatever. So she has some crabs or whatever, and, she's somewhat happy again. I don't know. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I just don't really care one way or the other. And that's just that. Now, Marlena comes into the room, and she talks to Sierra about, getting her memories back. Of course, Sierra is like, how could I ever sit there and love the Necktie Killer and blah, 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 blah. And she's just all, and not denial, but it's like she just doesn't want to believe that she could have possibly loved him. And after a while, and I was saying this, someone at work, customer at work, and I was all like, and I'm just so over this whole Sierra, just, her memories are gone, and Ben is moping around, and I'm just, like, so over it, and she, like, agreed. But anyway, she's all into denial and everything like that, and, Marlena brings up the fact that, you could have all your memories back of everything, of Claire and Ben, and she's all like, I don't know if I really want to have my memories back, I don't know if I really want that. I'm like, okay, alright, alright, Sarah, you can keep going. I'm just gonna kind of space out of here. I guess she's still talking. And that's literally how I felt throughout that entire scene. And Marlena did her best to sit there and try to really convince her. Talked about Claire, and of course she was, I don't know if she talked about Claire, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of checked out. But she really made a strong, convincing case about trying to get her memories back, and Sierra more or less was like, oh, think about it. So she told Ben, and Ben, he's crushed, he's crushed. He thanked her, but he's crushed. He goes and sees Claire, which she's still having a hangover. And they both kind of just sit there and mope about how Sierra hates both of them. And that was more or less of the scene. Now Claire was sitting there talking to her mom about the whole event. And of course, Bella was kind of like chastising her about drinking in the day and getting the hangover and everything. And about the money that, the bill and everything like that. Now to an extent, I get it, Like, she looked at it, she was like, so you tell me this total stranger who you didn't know offered to buy champagne, and you just kind of just went along for the ride? And Claire was like, yeah, she looked cool. Okay, Claire. But yeah, at first she chastises her. But then she sympathizes with her because she talks about, Claire talks about Sierra and how she hates her for something that happened years ago, and, whatever. So Bella goes to the hospital, and she's happy to see Claire alive. And granted, she was one of those people that was like, well, I don't know if Ciara's alive because of the explosion. Remember that crap a long time ago? And she was all like, well, I just don't see how it's possible. I was like, did you see any body parts? Okay, then. Anyway, she goes to the hospital, she sees how Ciara's doing, and she talks about her. Then she talks about Claire and how she's upset that they don't have a friendship anymore because, you know, you hate her. And of course, Claire gets into her, well, let's be honest, her bitchy mood about, oh, yeah, you know, she betrayed me with Trip. And I'm like, sweetheart, that was like years ago. And to be honest, the more you're talking about it, the less sympathetic I'm actually feeling about this whole thing, but go ahead. And Bella's like, listen, you know, my daughter make mistakes, and I'm not trying to defend her. I'm just pointing it out. And I'm happy you're here, and hopefully you'll take Marlena up on that whole hypnotizing thing, because you are starting to get annoying. That's not what she said, but that's what I was thinking. So she sat down, she left, she talked to Marlena for a little bit, and I don't think anything really came of it, except for Marlena once again was like, you know, she doesn't really know if she's going to do the whole hypnotizing thing. Now, Ciara does take a look at the photo, and I should sit there and point it out. She does look at the photo. And, you know, I don't really know. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I feel like as far as me being invested in this whole thing, I'm like 30% into it, because all that. Now, Kristen, playing as Susan, does wind up telling Brady that Chloe has feelings for Brady. This is after the fact that, you know, Kristen wasn't there talking to herself about, you know, I gotta keep a secret or whatever. And then, you know, Brady's like, what's going on? And she's getting all shady or whatever and skittish, and she tries to walk away, and Brady's like, no. You're keeping your secret. I want to know what it is. And I want you to leave until you tell me what it is. Now, I'm not going to lie. That scene was not meant to be funny, but that was probably the highlight of that episode. Just that whole little interrogation scene was just kind of funny. Brady is an interesting character, but when he plays, like, when he's, like, sarcastic or whatever, like, there's a certain moment where Brady's actually kind of funny and interesting to watch, and I can't believe I'm saying it, because pretty sure the first day that I watched this episode, I called him a moron. Anyway, Kristen, pretty much playing Susan, tells him that Chloe has feelings for you, and, you know, just don't tell her that I said so, because I don't want her to sit there and think I'm ratting her out. So she goes in the kitchen, because Brady sends her in the kitchen, and, Brady talks to Chloe, and, you know, Brady talks about how he's upset. Well, he's sad that Kristen wants to have some distance with him, because it's hard seeing him come to the jail every time. And, you know, at one point, okay, there's another reason why this was kind of like my favorite part. So, Brady's not there talking, and he's talking about Kristen, and, swear that he looks at her cleavage like a couple of times. And to be fair, well, I can't blame him. And also, I feel like her shirt was a lot more open today than it was yesterday. Now, that obviously works out for me, but I'm just like, I'm pretty sure her shirt was not open that much in the last episode. So, and you can see it, and it's funny. There's times where he's sitting there playing like he's being sad, and he's looking down. Then he looks at her cleavage, and then he looks at her face, and I'm like, bro, are you not even, like, trying at this point? I mean, she wouldn't blame you, but I'm just like, it's just such a weird scene. But anyway, you know, he talks about how he's sad about Kristen, and Chloe puts her hand on his knee, and I'm like, is there anything I can do to help or anything like that? And I'm like, anything that I say at this point is just going to be inappropriate. But he pretty much kind of just backs off a little bit, where he's like, you know what, listen, tomorrow I'm just going to just spend some time with Rachel, and, you know, I'm just going to work from home, and, you know, just spend some more time with my daughter. And Chloe kind of gets the hint that he's backing away from her. So she feels kind of sad or whatever, and she leaves. And, you know, Kristen playing Susan, because I just can't talk about this any other way, is like, you know, you did the right thing or whatever. And, you know, Brady's like, oh, well, you know, she looks like she's kind of sad. I'm like, listen, I know you don't want to hurt her or anything like that, but technically, you shouldn't be entertaining that idea anyway. And the fact that you couldn't see that before is amazing. But, I mean, bro, don't be that broken up about it. I mean, you still do love Kristen, right? Like, this is a good thing, right? And that's more or less the whole scene. Or the whole episode. Let me just double check. Yep. Well, more or less, I think that's actually about it. I think that pretty much kind of covers everything. And for the people that stayed, thank you so much. And thank you for watching. I know some of these reviews have been coming out super late. And I apologize for that. It's been a little kind of hectic. Sometimes getting home and then doing a review and then catching up on some other stuff and then coming back. And so I want to thank everyone for the patience. And let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. Thank you for watching. Be safe. And I'm still working on the outro. Have a good day or good night. And I will see you in the next review.